prospect of the liberalization of the African airspace to drive tourism that will result in economic growth and productivity came to the fore at the August breakfast meeting of the Nigeria-South Africa Chamber of Commerce. Keynote speaker Mr. Bernard Bankole, president of the National Association of Nigerian Traveling Agencies, speaking on the topic Africa, the Next Big Thing, focus on aviation and tourism, in his presentation, shared how the liberalization of the aviation industry will revolutionize tourism in the continent.
Aviation has the potential to make an important contribution to economic growth and development within Africa. Air transport can open and connect markets, facilitating trade and enabling African firms to link into global supply chains. It plays an especially pivotal role in just-in-time global manufacturing production and in speeding fresh produce from agricultural communities in developing economies to markets in the industrialized world. Enhancing air connectivity can help raise productivity by encouraging investment and innovation. Improving business operations and efficiency, air transport is indispensable for tourism, where the convenience of air services facilitate the arrival of larger numbers of tourists to a region or country, while many air markets between Africa and countries outside of Africa have been liberalized to a significant extent. Most intra-African aviation markets remain largely closed, subject to restricted bilateral agreement, which limits the growth and development of air services. Aviation continues. This has limited the potential for aviation to be an engine of growth and development, recognizing that this restrictive arrangement was limiting growth. Many African nations adopted the Yamoussoukro decision in 1999. This agreement committed these 44 signatory countries to deregulating air services and to promoting regional air markets, opening to transnational competition. However, the implementation of this agreement has been slow and limited, and thus the potential benefits of liberalizing intra-Africa air markets remain largely unrealized. It is no doubt that liberalization of our airspace is the way to go to enable smooth connectivity within Africa, coupled with other issues. Benefit of liberalization. Liberalization can lead to increased air service levels and lower fares, which in turn stimulates additional traffic volumes, facilitates tourism, trade, investment, and other sectors of the economy. Africa really needs to open their borders so that it's easy to move people and goods within the continent. South Africa has done a whole lot in their regard, and that's why we've seen them have a robust economy. And we really need to do such in Sub-Sahara. And it's high time that Africans and African carriers pay more attention to African countries than willing to go outside the world. Most of the airline focus is going outside the continent than running within the continent. And the continent has a lot of potentials. The continent has a lot of potentials. If we neglect this continent, nobody's going to grow the continent for us. It belongs to us. Africa belongs to Africans. We should stop this idea of Nigerians are Nigerians, South Africans are South Africans, Ghanaians are Ghanaians. We should all see ourselves as Africans. Africa is the place to be. Now, I'm going to elaborate more on this liberalization so that you understand the effect of what it brings and what it gives to all of us. If we have an open sky, what it means first is that there are going to be more routes and the frequency will be available, which means you and I can wake up today and say, I want to go to South Africa, I want to go to Kenya, without being bothered about whether I'm going to get a flight that will go there immediately, or I have to wait for days before I can get a flight back, or I have to bother myself with visa issues. We're Africans, for God's sakes. Visa shouldn't be an issue. Do you take visa to go to your house? You don't. So why should Africans restrict themselves? The Europeans are not doing that. Why are we doing that to ourselves? Is it a problem of our skin color? We need to change our mentality. It's high time the press start making some positive impact in Africa. Let's speak well of things that has to do with us, rather than continue to talk about negativity of what Africa is all about. Now, in turn, this will increase trade, and it will increase the level of investment into the continent as long as we liberalize our airspace. And in return, we're going to have enhanced productivity, the GDP will grow, and there will be job growth.
Mr. Bankole speaks further on developments around repositioning aviation and tourism in Africa and Nigeria.
Aviation is a catalyst for the growth of tourism. Without a resounding aviation industry, tourism cannot grow. And I said a lot about that today. We have to make conscious effort to grow our aviation sector for tourism to grow. Right now, Nigeria as a country is focusing on domestic tourism. Even if we're going to embrace domestic tourism, we still need to grow the aviation industry in Nigeria. It is highly necessary. For instance, you want to go to a destination in Abuja, you can't go by road, it will be frustrating. So you need a viable air transport that will facilitate that. Concessioning is not a new word. Concessioning is done everywhere in the world. But the problem with Nigeria is that we blow things out of proportion and we approach things from the negative aspect. We should be positive at every progress the government is trying to make. Concessioning is good for growth of the industry. I think what is expected of us is to look at the modalities, have a clear understanding of it, and embrace it as long as it's going to take us from where we are to a better place. And that's my stand about it. And on the issue of the national carrier, we have said to the government, the national carrier, the government can start off with a PPP arrangement before we go into full-fledged. This will help us to save money and create a better platform. Like I've said, all the other carriers in other countries, for instance, the Emirates that we're making so much noise about, is being managed by an ex-British staff. And the person managing it is not even an Emirate. It is actually a British person. So why are we attaching so much importance? As long as it's going to be done and it's going to be done well, I'm of the view that we should go for it.
What is your assessment of the federal government strategy in revitalizing tourism, particularly with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture?
Well, the good thing is that the DGNTDC is doing a great job right now. He has come up with a master plan for domestic tourism. The Tour Nigeria program, I think, is the fantastic one, and I think we should all embrace it and support it. If we can generate a lot of movement through that, it will contribute to our GDP.
Africa has been described as the last frontier for economic growth and transformation. To achieve this, the 1999 Yamoussoukro Agreement, signed by 44 countries in the continent on the deregulation of the aviation industry, must move from theory to practical. This will go a long way to developing the tourism sector in the continent, particularly for sub-Saharan Africa, and boost Africa's economic contribution globally.